Good afternoon and welcome to the Mastering Manhood podcast, the very first one. Very excited. My name is André O Ferguson. Today we're talking about what is real manhood and whether or not that is something that even still exists in today's society. So what is real manhood? What is real manhood to you? I'll kick it off with my own story. I grew up in Jamaica, lived there all my life. I'm Jamaican. Wherever I live in the world, I'm still Jamaican. Jamaica is home. I grew up with 7 uncles, no father, a single mother. I spent the best years of my life with my grandmother and my uncles, for that matter. My grandfather was my hero, still is today. Between my 7 uncles, they have about an average of 5 kids each, with an average of 3 different women each. A couple of them are married now. My grandfather as well has 1 daughter with my grandmother, and he ended up stepping out and had another child with another woman. My grandmother stayed, and they're happily married now, going on 60 years. So my grandfather is my hero. Yes, we all make mistakes, but my grandfather is the best version of a man that I know. My father was non-existent. I didn't find out I had a brother and sister until last year when we were planning our wedding, and I said to my wife, my fiance at the time, that, baby, I'd like to invite my father to my wedding. And I reached out to him on Facebook, and he didn't have a clue who I was. But, through persistence, I spoke to my dad, and he wasn't really interested in coming to the wedding at all. But through that, I found out that I had a brother and a sister. My sister is 3 years older than me, and my brother is 6 years older than me. So that's a blessing that came from that, but I didn't know I had a brother and a sister until last year. I met my sister at my wedding for the very first time. Still haven't met my brother, but these are just some of the examples that my past, and I'm going to speak about myself here because we're talking about what real manhood is. And could my father have done things differently, and my mother for the sake of argument or the sake of the conversation. But today we're specifically talking about the role of men and what real manhood is. So that is a synopsis of my story and how I was raised. So I was raised by men who having all the girls in the world was the thing to aspire to be. I once, and I was telling my wife this, I once saw one of my uncles punch a girl, one of his children's mother, punch her so hard that she just flew across the room because he was so much bigger than her, and she just kept coming back for more, and she loved him. I was confused. I was about 8, 9 or whatever at the time. I was probably a little older, and I was confused, like, why are you hitting her? And I had to step in, because this, again, my version of what a man was my uncles. My uncles were the epitome of men. They had loads of women. Women were taking care of them all the time, and I thought that was so cool growing up because that's what everybody was aspiring for. And not until I got to university about 17, 18, I realized that, there's something wrong with this. I still did, the wrong thing. I made many mistakes. I'm not by no means perfect. I made exactly the same mistakes my father and all my uncles did. I have 3 children outside of before I got married, and I love my kids. I love them to death. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't change any of my children for the world. They inspire me to do everything I do. Everything I do is for them, and I just hope I am a good enough father to them. But it would have been better if all my kids were under the same roof with me and with their mother. That's the ideal. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, and we have to make the best of those situations. But nowadays we tend to run away from the responsibility of being a father. A lot of us as men, we find all kinds of different reasons. And don't get me wrong, because I am in a situation and have been in situations where it's been hell, absolute hell, to just see your child, to just take care of your child, to just man up, as a lot of people who think men aren't taking care of their kids say. But it's not always that simple, and I know because I've been through that life. And it's more about working through those times and sticking to it, because you know what you're trying to get out of this. You're trying to be a father to your child, because the opposite, or the opposite, is just not an option, or shouldn't be. Because if we take a look at our society today, so we have, as I said, I've recently started mentoring young boys, and I have a 11-year-old that I mentor, and he is, for me, the coolest little kid. But police are saying he's got anger issues. School is saying he's got anger issues. So many people are saying he's got anger issues, and he now is telling me, oh, I've got anger issues. I've got anger management issues. He's 10 years old. So I'm thinking 11. So I'm thinking, but you're 11 years old. So, why have you got anger issues? Or why is everybody telling you you've got anger issues? But he genuinely believes he's got anger issues. There's no dad, there's no mentor, until myself, there's nobody kind of guiding him through life or guiding him through these challenges he's facing. And the only thing he knows how to do is fight with his fist. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. You have to pick your fights. However, you have to know when to stand up for yourself and when to walk away. But I think it's very important for a man to know how to stand up for himself. You have to be able to defend yourself, defend your family if needed. I think that is vital. God didn't create us to be passive and weak. He created us to protect and to provide, and you can't do that if you don't have a backbone. So him being 11 and fighting for his space, I think is cool. I just think he needs to learn how to do that. He needs to learn how to pick his fights. He needs to learn how to pick his moments, his battles, and know how to win the war, as opposed to just fighting for it every time somebody says something. If somebody says something to you and you decide to lash out every time somebody says something, then you're controlled. You're controlled by what people say. You have to be stronger than that. So, it's been a pleasure kind of teaching him these little things, and it's so powerful to watch how he absorbs that information, and he takes it all in, and he asks questions, and he's eager to learn, and he's just grateful and happy that somebody's taking the time to just talk to him, hang out with him, play some pool. How many of us had people in our lives that just took the time to learn about us? What do you like? What do you want to do? Growing up, I had my life plotted out for me. You have to be this, and this. And if you're not this, and this, then you're a failure and you're a waste of space. I was told at 15 that I was going to end up being a farmer because I wasn't doing good enough in school. And I thought, well, being a farmer is cool. But, the way it was put across is that it's derogatory. Like, people have to eat, and I would love to be a farmer. I'm actively trying to be a farmer right now. I don't subscribe to people dictating to you how you should live your life. But as men, we have to guide our youth. Being a real man is not about, womanizing. Being a real man is not about fighting all the time. Being a real man is not about selling drugs and robbing people and killing your friends. And, those things aren't about manhood. Definitely not. A real man takes care of his woman. A real man treats his woman like a queen. A real man opens doors. Chivalry is dead, they say. I open my wife's door all the time. I have an example of there was one night I was with my wife and we were going back to the car. I opened her door for her, put her in the car, made sure she was in there safely, closed the door. There was a group of girls just to my right, just kind of sitting on a wall, and they all busted out laughing. Why is he doing that? What's he doing that for? Can't she open her own door? What's wrong with her? Why is she so stush? Why is he so silly? Why is he... And it was crazy. They just kept going on. So I took the time out to, have a little conversation with them. And I said, well, of course she can open her own door. Of course I don't have to open her door for her. Of course I don't have to close her door for her. She's got 2 hands, she can do it herself. But I do that because I love her. I do that because I want to take care of her. I do that because that's my queen. That's why I do it. It's not because she can't or I have to. It's none of those things. It's because of how I feel about her. I want to take care of her. I want to make sure she's safe at all times. I put my wife on the inside when I walk with her. Again, young boy on the street, after I've taken my wife to where she's gone, he's seen me coming back the other direction. Why did you make sure that your wife was on that side? I said, well, if the car jumps the curb, it's gonna hit me first and not my wife. Oh, but you're gonna kill yourself though. So I said, no, it's about making sure she's safe and making sure she feels like she's safe. If you have a woman that you love, you have to make sure they're safe. Women like to feel loved and need to feel like they're safe. Your purpose is important in life as a man. That's just one of the things you should be doing, taking care of your queen. The next thing is you should make sure you're providing for your family. Make sure you are actively, even if you don't have a job, bro, even if you're not actively working at the minute, have a plan. Women love to support men who have a plan, have ambition. You might just have a big plan or something that is burning within inside you, and that's what you want to do, and you've put all your energy in that. Yes, there's no money coming in right now, but you're working towards something, and that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing, because not everybody can just jump into the same work pool, job pool, and be a graphic designer or be a pilot or whatever. Some people have bigger dreams. Some people have things that they have to create. They have to make it. It's inside their head. And a lot of us men have these visions of grandeur, and we run away from them because somebody's told us that, you have to go down that road and this is what you have to do. So you give up on your dreams. So being a man is about following your dreams, identifying your purpose. Your purpose is what God gives to you within yourself. It's in a dream. Sometimes you get this burning desire to do something. I have a burning desire to mentor children, young boys specifically, and that is my burning desire, and that's it. I'm single-minded. 10 years ago I had a burning desire to support deaf children and their siblings, because my daughter is deaf. My 13-year-old is deaf. So I took that upon myself as my responsibility at that time. My daughter is now 13. She's cool. She's too cool for school now. So, she's not into those little things anymore. And she's going her own way. She's now dancing in the Royal Dance Academy as the only deaf child to do it. And she's done super, super well for herself so far. So she's gone, Daddy, this is what I'm going to do. So, I can now step back from that and start pursuing things that are also my dream. That was my dream, to make sure that my daughter was safe. I dropped everything to make sure that I took care of her and gave her the best possible start that I could, along with her mother. And, she's done us proud, and she's beautiful, she's confident, she's got no issues in life, she's a leader, and she's happy. And that's a beautiful thing. So being a man is about your purpose. It's about taking care of your loved ones, taking care of your children. I have another daughter, and sometimes when she's going, she's going through stuff, she only wants to talk to Daddy, because I talk to her about real life. My 16-year-old, I don't talk to her as if, she's some child who doesn't have a brain. I ask her questions. I say, how do you want to do this? How do you want to attack that? How do you see that happening? And she'll tell me, and I'll go, well, this is the way you have to go. And she'll make her own decision. We can't mollycoddle our children. Part of being a real man is creating leaders. Whether boy or girl, we have to create leaders, create in them the ability to make decisions that will govern the way they live their life and make them confident. Raising your boys, you can't raise your boys passively. You can't raise your boys in cotton wool. You can't protect them from every single thing. If they have a fight at school, sometimes you have to let them deal with that. You can't run down to school every time there's a fight to protect your son. because your son is never going to know how to handle himself. What if you're not there one day? What's going to happen? If my son comes home, he had a fight, all right, cool. Are you okay? How did the fight go? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll make sure he's safe. He understands what's going on. And I'll say, boy, you got to deal with that. That's for you to deal with. Don't come running to me every time. You know, teach your children how to have victories. When they figure out how to do things on their own, that's when they start building their confidence. It's never about you solving every problem. You know, you as a woman, you might have a 17-year-old or whatever, you're a 17, 18, whatever, and you're with a boy who is, you know, really cool, athletic, you know, but has no substance, but he's really cute, big muscles and all of these things, really cute, but, you know, nothing's going on up here, but it's cool, it's really cool because all the girls like him, he's very popular, and that's cool at 17 years old. But when you get to 38 years old and he's still that 17-year-old boy, that's not cool anymore. You know what I mean? So it's about raising our boys to go through the process of manhood. You know, first you allow them to be boys, run around, play, enjoy yourself, be a child. Then they go up through the stages, and throughout the stages you're guiding them, you're mentoring them. You know, give your sons pocket money, teach them how to manage their money. What is your finances? Do you want a pair of trainers? Okay, you get £5 a week. In order to get your trainers, which cost £50, you need to save X amount over X amount of time in order to get your trainers. And that's their responsibility. You just give them £5. You teach them how to do it. If they spend their £5, then they know that, okay, it's going to take you longer to get your trainers. You don't get your pair of trainers until you save to get it. I'm giving you £5 every week. It's up to you to get your trainers. You know, you have to save your money. You have to manage your money. If you save all £5 because you don't need to spend it, if you save all £5, you get your trainers quicker. If you choose to spend £4.50, and that's you only save £50 a week, 50p a week, then it's going to take you that long to get your pair of trainers. You have to give your children the opportunity to create and gain their own victories. You can't have confidence, you can't feel victorious unless you have been through battles, been through fights with your friends, been through fights with finances, been through emotional situations. When you overcome things is when you learn how to manage them. The important thing is you always have to be there to guide them through it, but you can't do it for them. That is part of raising our men properly. What I didn't get was the guidance of how to deal with women, the guidance of how to deal with finances, the guidance of how to deal with my education. That guidance, I was just, there you go, you figure it out. And I had bad examples. Like I'm saying, I had toxic examples of masculinity. And it's not cool for us to keep doing the same exact thing over and over and over again. It's more important that we learn how to do it well so that we can teach the ones coming behind us. Learn from our own mistakes. You know, we all have a story. My story is what I'm trying to teach my children. I say, this is what I went through, so I stopped doing that so that you don't have to do this. And you set the right examples as best as you can. None of us are perfect. So let's understand that. And let's just try to live the best possible life, the best possible, create the best possible version of ourselves that we can possibly be. Life is short, but life is beautiful. You know, we spend a lot of time thinking about how difficult this life is. As men, it's hard. It's really, really hard to be a man, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. So don't get me wrong, it's nothing to do with, none of these things are easy. It's hard. The fact of the matter is, we have to take the time out to understand where we went wrong, right? Where we went wrong, so that we can change the future of our boys coming up, and we can change our future going forward. We have to do that. We have to take a time out and analyze ourselves. With that, I thank you for taking the time out to spend with me today. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below. All your comments are welcome, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, blessed love.